I have here today some of the biggest beetles on the planet. The Rhinoceros beetles and a bunch of others that we're going to have lunch with today. But first I want to talk about beetles in general. Beetles are one of the most diverse groups of animals. They're more diverse than all plants, all other animals. And if you took everything on Earth, all the plants, all the animals, and put them in a giant bag and then started pulling things out, you'd more than likely start pulling out more beetles than anything else. So beetles are incredibly diverse, and let's look at some of the ways that they are super diverse. One thing that all beetles have in common, though, is that they have the ability to fly. It doesn't look like there's any wings down there, right? Where are the wings? Well, the wings are underneath this hard shell right here called elytra. And so all beetles have wings hidden behind this shell. And so here is one of our preserved specimens. This is an atlas beetle, by the way. And so underneath this hard shell, this elytra, are these thin membranous wings. So they can actually fly around. Now they're huge, right? They don't fly very well. They're pretty clumsy about it, but they can definitely fly. And one of the reasons why these beetles have these super hard shells is for protection, right? It protects them from predators, from being eaten. And they have these huge horns right here, also for protection. Now this is a type of rhinoceros beetle, aka atlas beetle, that has these huge rhinoceros-like projections, but these don't move. This center one, though, does move. And so besides being one of the largest beetles on the planet, they're also one of the strongest animals on the planet. It says that, or it's thought that they can lift 800 times their body weight. That is incredibly strong. That's like a 150-pound person trying to pick up a bus. More recently, though, they figured out that these little guys are even stronger. So this is another type of rhinoceros beetle called a dung beetle that can pick up 1,000 times its body weight. So that's like a 150-pound person trying to pick up a whole stack of buses. Incredible, incredible. And one of the reasons why they're so strong is that the males use their super strength to knock each other over, to fight, to wrestle, to try to win females. So females are like, oh, you're the strongest and baddest. I guess you're the best mate. And so this is a picture of one beetle gripping in its claws another beetle. And what it's going to do is it's going to flip it off the tree, and it will go all the way down the treetop and bang onto the ground. But it doesn't hurt itself because it has that super strong exoskeleton. This is one of our big black stag beetles, and these are its mandibles here that it can move back and forth in order to grip something very, very tightly. Don't ever want to get your finger stuck in that. It's like having your finger in a vice. Unfortunately, I had that experience many, many years ago, not recently. And what was funny about that experience is, in order to get it to release my finger, what I had to do was offer it a little piece of food. And so they are fruit feeders, and they love fruit more than anything else. And this is lunchtime with live animals. So let's just see if this atlas beetle is interested in having a nice piece of rotten fruit today. Oh, their mandibles, or their mouth parts, are really interesting and can be hard to see. They're tucked in tight underneath the head there, and really, really hard to see. But they all have mandibles, meaning they don't have the proboscis like a butterfly might have. But like I said, they're incredibly diverse. Some of them are predators. Some beetles are predators. Some eat dung. Some eat fruit and vegetables. And some don't eat at all as an adult. So they did all their eating as a grub. So let's look a little bit about beetle life cycle. I don't have any bugs or grubs with me today, but this is a picture of a grub. And so beetles go through complete metamorphosis. They start as a little egg and then grow and grow and grow into this worm-like creature, but it's not a worm, it's a beetle grub. And then they pupate like a butterfly would pupate and then turn into a completely different looking creature with a different lifestyle, a different habitat. These are some grubs underground. Most beetle grubs do live underground or in tree bark. This is a fig beetle here. You may see fig beetles flying around your yard in the summertime. They're also great clumsy flyers. They have those big stout bodies that they're trying to support in flight with their wings, and so they kind of fly around and bump into things. People sometimes think that they may be blind, but they're not blind. They just have huge bodies that they're trying to support with their membranous wings. So all beetles can fly. Let's see here if we can look at some of our other beetles. A common beetle that you may see in your yard are ladybug beetles. I have a whole bunch here. And they are predators on other bugs, mostly aphids. So they love to eat little teeny tiny pests that may be living on the plants in your yard. And you can actually go and get a bunch of aphids at a garden center and release them in your garden in order to eat some of the pests like mealybugs, aphids, spider mites that you might have living on your plants instead of spraying them with pesticides. So these eat other pests, but some beetles are also considered a pest. You may remember the band called the Beatles. Well, George Harrison had a tree in Griffith Park named after him, but then unfortunately pest version of the beetle called the Japanese beetle ate the whole tree down. And so some of them are considered pests because they eat trees. Others are considered good bugs because they eat other pests. Now, like I said, there's incredible diversity of beetles. They come in all shapes, colors, sizes, lifestyles. Some are aquatic, some flash, and some play dead. And so these are death feigning beetles. And when they're disturbed, their defense is to just play dead. And so they'll roll over on their back, they'll fling their legs up into the air and just play dead, because most things don't want to eat a dead thing. And so they'll start to decay, they'll start to smell bad, things that are dead. Some beetles even emit kind of a smell that makes them seem like they're really dead. So that's also a great defense mechanism besides having that incredibly hard body, being able to fly away. Some have those huge horns. Playing dead is also a really great defense. Now, some beetles as an adult only survive a couple of days, maybe a week, and the firefly is one that you may recognize. Sometimes, depending on where you live in the United States, as to whether you've seen fireflies or not. Right? So fireflies are actually a beetle, and they bioluminesce. They have the ability to emit light by the chemical reactions coupled with enzymes in their bodies to emit this amazing light. And so they'll flash on and off, and that's actually a form of communication. So males are flashing, 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 and the females are down in the grass also flashing, flashing, and the signal that they do back and forth to one another is very specific. And so if a female flashes back the same signal that the male flashes, then they find each other and they mate and they produce new fireflies. But what's interesting about fireflies is the grubs, or the larval stage, is where they spend most of their lives. So they'll live for years and years underground as a grub, and then pupate and emerge for only a couple of days as an adult firefly. Now, one reason why we don't see as many fireflies as we did once upon a time is because of light pollution. So all that light, all the lights that we have at night, kind of screws up their ability to flash and communicate with one another. This is a glowworm. This is the larva of another type of beetle that also glows in the dark. And let's talk a little bit more about ladybugs. And so not all ladybugs are ladies, right? Some of them are males, but they have this funny common name. And so these are some of the aphids that they eat here. And they look like they're kind of camouflaged in with the aphids. That's another form of defense. But they also have that bright red and black and orange coloration. That's to show predators that they're toxic to predators. So they have all sorts of defense mechanisms. Ladybug beetles also have, just among themselves, a lot of diversity. You see all these different patterns of polka dots, right? So diversity is really the engine that runs the earth. Diversity in people, diversity in plants, diversity in animals, diversity in all things is what makes the earth a rich and healthy place. I have here some gears. And so beetles, they figured out just recently that beetles have coupled gear mechanisms inside their jaws that work together that allows them to chew. And that's incredible. So I think that's all that I have to show you today. Comments. And be sure to find us on our webpage, our Connects page, and our Live Animals Instagram page. Thank you so much.